Hello friends, good morning. Today we are going to study the seventh chapter, Wave Optics. This chapter is in continuation with Optics of 11th standard. Before going to start with this, let us revise the concept which we studied last year. So here are 5 questions which are based on the previous knowledge. We will revise these 5 concepts. The first one is, what does the formation of shadows tell you about the propagation of light? Here it is regarding to propagation of light and the formation of shadows. Formation of shadows tells us that light propagates in a straight line in homogeneous medium. Is it clear? I will repeat once again. Formation of shadows tells us that light propagates in straight line in homogeneous medium. Homogeneous medium means the medium which is containing only one medium, that is homogeneous, एकजिन्सी, ज्याच्यात दुसरं कोणतेही असणार नाही. Air is considered as homogeneous medium, or you may consider water, glass. These are considered as homogeneous medium. एकसारखे असलेले medium. The second concept here given as, what are the laws of reflection and refraction? So first we will revise the laws of reflection and then go for refraction. Laws of reflection. There are 2 laws of reflections present. First, the incident ray, the reflected ray and the normal to the boundary surface at the point of incidence lies in the same plane. I will repeat once again. The incident ray, the reflected ray and the normal, these 3, they lies in the same plane. Second law, angle of incidence is equals to angle of reflection, that is I is equals to R. Angle of incidence is considered as I, whereas angle of reflection is considered as R. So it gives us I is equals to R. Now from this we will define what is meant by angle of incidence and angle of reflection. First we will define angle of incidence. The angle between the incident ray and the normal to the reflecting surface is known as angle of incidence. I repeat once again. The angle between the incident ray and the normal to the reflecting surface is called as angle of incidence. Now we will define angle of reflection. The angle between the reflected ray and the normal to the reflecting surface is called as angle of reflection. It is the angle between the reflected ray and the normal to the reflecting surface is known as angle of reflection. The third concept given here was regarding to electromagnetic waves, and it was, what are electromagnetic waves? Electromagnetic waves are caused by the acceleration of charged particles and consist of electric and magnetic fields vibrating sinusoidally at right angles to each other and to the direction of propagation are called electromagnetic waves, or we will call it as radiation. I'll repeat once again. Electromagnetic waves are caused by acceleration of charged particles and consist of electric as well as magnetic fields vibrating sinusoidally, and these are perpendicular to each other, and again these two are perpendicular to the direction of propagation is known as electromagnetic waves or simply radiation. Already we have studied all these in 11th standard. So these are only the revision parts which we are going to consider here. The fourth important concept was the range of frequencies of visible light. Visible light consists of 7 different colors as we all know. It starts from violet to red and its frequency range is 4 into 10 raised to 14 Hertz to 8 into 10 raised to 14 Hertz. And if suppose we are going to write in terms of wavelength range, then in that case it will be 4000 Armstrong unit to 8000 Armstrong unit. But here we are going to remember frequency range. Frequency range is 4 into 10 raised to 14 Hertz to 8 into 10 raised to 14 Hertz. The last concept which we require in this topic is what is meant by the phase at a point along the path of a wave. Already phase was defined in 11th standard as phase of the wave at a point is defined by the state of motion of the particle. That is, the particles whatever vibrating or moving, their state whatever present is known as the phase of that wave. Here answers for these questions were not given because already we have studied all these concepts in 11th standard. So you have to revise them, find the answers for these 5 questions and we will move further. Now in this chapter we are going to start with introduction. In this introduction part, we will have to consider all the things whatever we have studied in 11th standard. As we all know, light travels in a straight line while traveling through a uniform and homogeneous medium. Just now we have seen in first question in the case of formation of waves and propagation of light, we state that light travels in a straight line while traveling through a uniform and homogeneous medium. The path of light is called as a ray of light. The path which is followed by the light is known as a ray of light. Second point, on encountering an interface with another medium, a ray of light gets reflected or refracted depending upon the medium. Either it reflects or refracts into the second medium, changes its direction and moves along a straight line. Though it is reflected, it travels in the straight line in first medium only. If it was refracted, then it moves in second medium again in the same straight line path. But the original path whatever present is changed. For reflection of light, the laws were incident ray, reflected ray and normal to the boundary surface at the point of incidence are in the same plane. And the second one, angle of incidence is equals to the angle of reflection. Just now we have seen this. And again for refraction of light, the two laws were defined as when a ray of light is moving from medium 1 to medium 2, the laws were defined as incident ray, refracted ray and normal to the boundary between the two media at the point of incidence are in the same plane. Angle of incidence I and the angle of refraction R are related by N1 sin I is equals to N2 sin R, where N1 and N2 are the absolute refractive indices of medium 1 and medium 2. This law is also known as here Snell's law for refraction of light, and we have studied this again in the last year. The position and nature of image depends upon the position of object and the focal length of the mirror or lens used. After this introductory part, we will move further, and it is regarding to the nature of light. So the very first theory was proposed by Newton, and it was known as corpuscular nature of light. This theory was proposed by Newton. According to his theory, that is corpuscular nature of light, light is made up of particles. That particles we call them as corpuscles, which are hard, elastic and massless. Corpuscles, whatever present from the light which are emitting, they are hard, elastic and massless. Massless means it is having zero mass. Elastic, after collision it will again regain its original shape and direction, and it is hard. Second point, according to this theory, a source of light emits these corpuscles which travel along straight lines in the absence of external force. A source of light emits these corpuscles, and these corpuscles travels in the same straight line direction in the absence of any external force. Third one, when the light corpuscles strike a reflecting surface, remember that the surface is reflecting, they undergo elastic collision and as a result follow the laws of reflection. After bombarding on the reflecting surface, the corpuscles reflected back in the same medium and obeys the laws of reflection. Suppose that these corpuscles were entering from medium 1 to medium 2, then there will be refraction. So the fourth point will be regarding refraction. During refraction, it is the difference in attractive force between the corpuscles and the particles of the medium that cause a change in the direction of corpuscles. As we know that when refraction takes place, the direction of incident ray of light, that is incident corpuscles, goes on changing. A denser medium exerts a larger attractive force on light corpuscles to accelerate them along the normal to the boundary. And by using this, one can state that speed of light in denser medium would be higher than that in rarer medium. This contradicts the experimental observations because we know that speed is higher in case of rarer medium than that of denser medium. Sixth point, light of different colors correspond to corpuscles of different sizes. Suppose the size of the corpuscles is large, then in that case the wavelength is large and it is corresponding to the red color. If the size of the corpuscle is small, then in that case it is regarding to the violet color, or in between from red to violet, and so on. That is, light of different color correspond to the corpuscles of different size. Smaller to larger corpuscles, violet to red color. If smaller in size, it is violet. As goes on increasing, it will be indigo, VIBGYOR. In this way, these are the short first initial letters of the colors. Expanding these colors, we will get all 7 colors. Red is having the larger wavelength, whereas violet is having the smaller wavelength. According to that, light of different color correspond to different sizes of corpuscles. But this theory, whatever proposed by Newton, is having some drawback. In the 19th century, certain new phenomenon of light, namely interference, diffraction and polarization, were discovered. These phenomenon of light, that is interference, diffraction, polarization, could not be explained based on this corpuscular theory. and therefore we need some different theories, and the next theory that we follow is wave theory of light. So this wave nature of light was given by the Dutch physicist Christian Huygens in 1668, which we call it as wave theory of light. According to him, that is Huygens, he assumed light to be a wave caused by vibrations of the particles of the medium. He considered, or he changes the very first thing. Instead of corpuscles, light is in the form of waves. Second, as light travel in vacuum, he assumed that a hypothetical medium called ether is present everywhere, including vacuum. Note that ether is not the substance, just like ether gas, which we came across in chemistry. However, while doing various experiments, there was no evidence to prove ether as present, and thus it was difficult to accept the theory or the concept. But wave theory could satisfactorily explain the phenomena like interference, diffraction, and polarization, which were not explained by corpuscular theory of light given by Newton. Again, it also satisfactorily explains the formation of images formed by mirrors and lenses. Wave theory showed that if speed of light wave in denser medium is smaller than that in rarer medium, then the light bends towards normal. Thus, wave nature of light could explain all the visual effects exhibited by light. That is, last year whatever we have studied, when a ray of light enters from rarer medium to denser medium, then in that case it bends towards the normal, which was satisfactorily explained by this Huygens wave theory of light. Or if suppose a ray of light is moving from denser medium to rarer medium, then it moves away from the normal, goes away from the normal. So this concept was satisfactorily explained by this wave theory of light. Though it explains all the phenomena satisfactorily, but it is also having some drawback which will be rectified, and then it was universally accepted. Michelson and Morley performed various experiments to detect ether, but obtained negative results. That is, ether does not present. The simple hypothesized ether was never detected. Later, it was proved by Einstein that light was transverse in nature. Therefore, it does not require material medium for its propagation. So this was the main thing which wave theory of light was universally accepted after correcting by Einstein. Einstein said that light is in the form of wave and the waves are transverse in nature. As we all know the characteristics of transverse waves, for propagation of transverse waves, material medium is not necessary. So due to that reason only this wave theory was universally accepted. The third theory was put forth as the dual nature of light. In the early 20th century, it was accepted that light has dual nature. Dual nature means it is having wave nature as well as particle nature under different situations. Particle nature of light, whatever present, is known as photons, and wave nature already we all know, transverse nature. Regarding this dual nature of light, we will discuss more about this dual nature of light in chapter number 14, dual nature of radiation and matter. In this chapter, we will focus mainly as light waves, and considering wave, we are going to obtain all the phenomena, that is reflection, refraction, interference, diffraction, polarization, all the concepts were proved by using light as a wave. So the next point was light as a wave. The very first point under this is light is an electromagnetic wave. These waves are transverse in nature and consist of tiny oscillating electric and magnetic fields which are perpendicular to each other and to the direction of propagation of wave. Last year in case of electromagnetic waves and communication we have studied light, visible light. Light is a form of energy which we call it as electromagnetic wave having two fields, electric and magnetic fields. These two are perpendicular to each other as well as to the direction of propagation of wave. These waves do not require any material medium for their propagation and they can travel through vacuum also, because we know that transverse waves whatever present they do not require any material medium. As light is a transverse in nature, so it also doesn't require any material medium, that is it travels easily in any given medium or vacuum also. The speed of light in material medium depends on the refractive index of that given medium, and again it depends on permeability and permittivity of the medium. The refractive index of the medium is equals to the ratio of speed of light in vacuum to the speed of light in medium. Last year we have studied this equation, that is n is equals to c upon phi, where n stands for refractive index of medium, c stands for speed of light in vacuum, and phi stands for speed of light in medium. N is equals to c upon phi. Remember this formula. The refractive index of vacuum is considered as 1 and that of air can be approximately considered to be 1 again. That is, for rarer medium, air or vacuum, the refractive index is 1. Electromagnetic waves. Electromagnetic waves can have wavelengths ranging from very small, smaller than a femtometer, that is 10 raised to minus 15 meter, to very large, larger than a kilometer. That is, it is having a wide range of wavelengths present in case of electromagnetic waves. Last year we have studied electromagnetic spectrum consisting of 7 different types of waves. Among that, one of the waveform is visible light, which is having its wavelength ranging from 4000 to 8000 angstrom unit. Second one, in order of increasing wavelength, the waves are classified as gamma rays, X-rays, ultraviolet rays, visible light, infrared rays, microwaves and radio waves. I repeat once again, the waves in case of their increasing wavelengths are classified as gamma rays, X-rays, ultraviolet rays, visible light, infrared waves, microwaves and radio waves. Visible light comprises of wavelength in the range 400 to 700 nanometer. Waves of different wavelengths in the visible range are perceived by our eyes of different wavelengths, with violet having the shortest and red having the longest wavelength. And in between the remaining colors, they are having increasing order of wavelength. If we consider white light, it is the mixture of all 7 different colors, that is all different 7 wavelengths. The refractive index of a medium depends on the wavelength used. Because of this, for the same angle of incidence, the angle of refraction is different for different colors, except for normal incidence. What will happen for a normal incidence? When we incident a ray of light normally on a given material medium, Then instead of having any reflection, refraction, it moves straight in second medium. For normal incidence, angle of refraction should be 0, that is, it moves in the same straight line path along the normal itself. Therefore, here the condition was necessary except for normal incidence. And therefore, the colors present in the white light get separated on passing through a transparent medium. Last year we have seen dispersion of light through a prism. This is the reason for formation of a spectrum and of a rainbow. That is, 7 colors were separated, and the 7 colors whatever present, they were known as spectrum. And in case of rainbow also we are going to obtain 7 different colors. Therefore, that is also formed as a spectrum. Einstein, in his special theory of relativity, states that the speed of light does not depend on velocity of source of light or the observer. He showed that no object or information can travel faster than the speed of light in vacuum, which is 300,000 kilometers per second, that is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meters per second. Now we'll go for important concept which is known as Huygens theory. Before going to start with this Huygens theory, again we require here the sources of light. Sources of lights were classified into two, primary and secondary. First we will see primary source. Primary sources are sources that emit light of their own because of their high temperature. For example, the sun, the stars, objects heated to high temperatures, flame of any kind, these are known as the primary sources because they are having very high temperatures. The effect of current being passed through them, example tube light, TV, etc. Because in case of when current is passed, they are giving out light. In case of TV, cathode rays were present, they are going to be emitting outside. And the third one, chemical or nuclear reactions. Example, firecrackers, nuclear energy generators. In all these, they emit light of their own. Therefore, they were known as primary sources. Secondary sources. Secondary sources are those sources which do not produce light of their own, but receive light from some other source and either reflect or scatter it around. सेकंडरी सोर्स म्हणजे जे स्वतःचं लाईट तयार करू शकत नाही, दुसऱ्याचं प्रकाश घेऊन ते त्यांना रिफ्लेक्ट करणार किंवा स्कॅटर करणार, त्यांना म्हणायचं सेकंडरी सोर्स. Examples are here moon, planets, objects like human, animals, plants, because these are not going to generate any kind of light. But if light falls on such objects, they reflect back in the medium. Therefore, they were termed as secondary sources. Majority of the sources that we see in our daily life are secondary source. Most secondary sources are extended sources, as can be seen from the examples above. Wavefront. The phase of a wave at a point is defined by the state of motion of the particle at that point, as well as the distance of the point from the source. For understanding this, take one example. Suppose that you are standing on a lake, near a lake, and you dropped a stone in water. What you are going to observe there? Ripples were created around the disturbance. These ripples are in the form of transverse waves. Alternate crest and troughs are going to form in all possible directions. From that, this phase can be easily understood. Phase of the wave at a point is defined by the state of motion of the particle. That is, the particle is here water molecules, whatever vibrating, its state at that point, as well as the distance of the point from the source. Source means here in this case the disturbance created in water. The distance from the disturbance and the state in which it is vibrating, either crest or trough, is known as phase of a wave. Two particles are said to be in phase if their state of motion is same. That is, if one of the particle is in crest, then second must be in crest. Or if suppose the first one is in trough, then the second must be in the trough. That is, they are having the same state of motion, and again they have same velocity and displacement perpendicular to the surface, and if they are at same distance from the source, then we say that the two particles are in phase. Now, considering this phase, we will now define wavefront. Locus means collection of all points having same phase at a given instant of time is called a wavefront. A wavefront is the locus of all points where waves starting simultaneously from origin O reach at a given instant of time t. The locus of all points of the medium to which all the waves reach simultaneously, so that all the points are in the same state of vibration, is called wavefront. To understand this wavefront, let us consider an example, then it will be clear. A wavefront is a surface in the medium through which light propagates. For that, consider a point source S as shown in figure A. In figure A, S is shown at the center of the circle. The waves of light emitted by the source travel in all possible directions. Waves were shown along A, along B, along C, along D, and along E in all possible directions. If c is the velocity of light in the air, each wave will cover a distance ct in time t. That is, from S, if a wave is moving in A, in time t, it will cover a distance of ct. Again, for a wave which is moving towards B, after time interval t, it covers a distance ct. It follows for C, D and E. All the waves cover equal distance, that is ct, where C stands for velocity of light and T stands for time interval, which we are going to consider. So these waves covers a distance ct in time t. Waves will reach the surface of the sphere of radius ct with the source as its center. Such a spherical surface is called spherical wavefront. The circle, whatever we are going to observe in figure A, actually it was shown as circle, but while talking we say that it was spherical, that is sphere, because it was a three-dimensional figure. But while drawing over here, we are going to draw only two dimensions, so it was not shown. While drawing, you have to draw circle, but while writing or while saying, you will have to say it as a sphere. So this surface of the sphere is known as a spherical surface, which we call it as a spherical wavefront. Similarly, a thin slit would give rise to cylindrical wavefront, as light would reach all points of the cylinder at the same time. When a point source is placed at the focus of the convex lens, then plane wavefronts are obtained, as shown in figure B. Observe the two figures carefully, then you will get the concept wavefront. And there are three different types of wavefronts present. One is spherical wavefront, second is cylindrical wavefront, and the third one is plane wavefront. There are three types of wavefronts: spherical wavefront, plane wavefront, and cylindrical wavefront. We will see how these wavefronts were formed. First, spherical wavefront. A wavefront originating from the point source of light at finite distance is called spherical wavefront. Observe figure A. S is the source, and at finite distance the curves were drawn. Those curves forms spherical wavefront. Here the different curves were drawn by considering different radius because the time interval for the first wave is smaller, second one is having somewhat larger as compared to the first, third is again having the larger time interval. In this way, the wave propagates in the forward direction. A wavefront in the form of spherical surface, either complete sphere or part of sphere, is called as spherical wavefront. Here only the part of sphere is drawn, only arcs were shown in the figure, but still we will have to say that it was spherical wavefront. Second one, plane wavefront. A wavefront originating from the point source of light at infinite distance, that is at a very large distance, is called as plane wavefront. Sunlight coming from sun towards the earth, as it covers a very large distance, so the light will be in the form of plane wavefront. A plane wavefront can be obtained by keeping point source at the focus of a convex lens. The light from the sun reaches the earth in the form of plane wavefront, which was shown in figure B, plane wavefront. Cylindrical wavefront. A wavefront originating from a linear source. In figure C, the dotted line represents a linear source. If light is coming from that linear source, then the wavefront obtained is cylindrical wavefront. Source of light in the form of long narrow slit give rise to cylindrical wavefront. So these are the three types of wavefronts. Observe figure number C. While observing the figures A, B and C, we came across one more term which we call it as wave normal. As you have shown, observed by using directed arrow, wave normals were shown in all three figures A, B and C. A normal or perpendicular drawn to the surface of wavefront at any point in the direction of propagation of light is called wave normal. The wave normal gives the direction of propagation of light. See in figure A, B and C, the directed arrows gives us the direction of propagation of wave, and these directed arrows were known as wave normal. Next point is a ray of light. The direction of wave normal is called a ray of light. Wave normal is same as a ray of light. The rays of light corresponding to spherical wavefronts are diverging in nature. Observe figure A. The three directed arrows are diverging in nature. The rays of light corresponding to a plane wavefront are parallel in nature. Observe figure B. The directed arrows are parallel to each other. They were known as wave normals. The rays of light corresponding to cylindrical wavefront are cross-sectionally radial. Observe figure number C. In all the circles the directed arrows were shown and they are cross-sectionally radial. These wavefronts will move parallel to each other. In figure A, B and C, as you observe, the wavefronts are parallel to each other. In first figure, spherical wavefront was present and there are different curves drawn which are parallel. In second figure, plane wavefront was present which was shown by using red lines, and again they are parallel to each other. And in third figure C, which is shown by a red line. Cylinder was formed at some time interval t. As time increases, again a cylinder is going to form, which is parallel for the first one. So wavefronts will move parallel to each other. So today we'll stop here. If you have any doubts, then you have to comment in the comment box. I will give answers in the next lecture. Tomorrow we will continue for the further topic. Thank you.